Hey there everybody, how's it going? My name is Riel. Welcome everybody to Final Fantasy XIV. In today's video we're going to be covering Archer and Bard from beginner's perspective, as somebody who is just getting into the job or is looking into the job. Or maybe you're a player that is interested in Final Fantasy XIV and you want to know what Archer and Bard are all about. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and begin with the definition of what an Archer or Bard is supposed to do. They wear dexterity gear, use bows for ranged damage, have moderate to good damage, depends on how well you play, no cast times for damage dealing abilities, however one ability does require a cast time, has ham ability since you can insta-cast and run around all over the place while in battle, has high party and raid-wide utility with cooldowns and resource management abilities as well, and easy to moderate difficulty overall. If you learn the opener and learn the basic rotation and you're able to maintain the songs, then you pretty much covered the entire job, no problem. You'll be able to get a hold of it. In Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood in patch 4.1, they introduced something called song changes, which now takes the songs the Bard used to play before. Instead of using them as utilities to recover mana and tactical points, you now use it in damage perspective. But before we begin with this, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what Bard is good at, and that is kiting. Kiting is defined as keeping an enemy chasing you while also keeping it at range while it cannot attack you. This tactic is often used to more safely attack the enemy using a long range attack or to distract the enemy while others attack it. In our cross-roll abilities that each job gets, we have the ability to mitigate crowd control, we have the ability to pick out Archers have the ability and repertoire to pick out a bunch of crowd controlling abilities such as silencing ability, a stun ability, a heavy ability, and a root ability or a bind ability. Since all of Archer's DPS abilities are all insta-cast except one utility that needs to be cast, you will have the ability and the freedom to run around all over the place while fighting enemies. And when you're fighting one-on-one with a singular enemy, it is really good idea to start learning how to kite them in order to make sure they kept far away distance from you so you can do a lot of damage without ever getting hurt. However, this tactic does not work on enemies that cast abilities unless you pick a roll action that lets you silence enemies from afar. I turned off an auto setting in Final Fantasy XIV that automatically faces me towards the enemy whenever I'm using weapon skill because it messed me up a lot of times towards the look wave mechanics in 14 that I stopped using it. So from now on, I'm just mostly jumping in midair, allowing the momentum to propel me forward in a certain direction, turning real quick towards the enemy, and then using an action skill, and then coming back up to continue strafing towards the side, which is why you see me constantly jump up and turn in such a manner. You don't have to jump like I do, but the idea of kiting is just making sure that you're able to do damage or running around the opponent and dancing circles around them, making sure they're far enough away distance from you from doing any physical damage on you, because as an Archer or Bard, you don't actually have too many self-heal abilities on you. All Archers start over in Gridania. If you haven't unlocked Archer as your very first class or job, then you eventually have to go over to unlock Archer over in New Gridania, over to the eastern side, over in the Archers Guild, over on the side of the map. You'll either have to be level 10 if you start in Gridania, or level 15 if you start at a different capital city. You will come up and talk to the Guildmaster over here and begin the grandiose journey and the personal story of Archers Guild. Let's go and talk about some of the basic skills that you'll be able to get as an Archer from the very start. You will start off at level 1 with Heavy Shot. That deals pretty much a staple damage of 150 potency. Eventually you get a trait that makes it so that 20% chance next Straight Shot will deal critical damage when you hit with Heavy Shot. Straight Shot delivers an attack with potency 140 and increases critical hit rate by 10%. This ability gives you a buff, allows you to deal 10% critical damage, which is really important for Archer. This gotta be maintained at all times. Raging Strikes is an offensive cooldown that increases the damage dealt by 10%, really important for you to use when you're trying to burst down the opponent. Venomous Bite delivers an attack with a potency of 100 and also applies a venomous damage over time ability of potency of 40. This will maintain on the enemy and can be reapplied after it takes down or before it is done. This will be maintained whenever you have Straight Shot on in order to make sure that Venomous Bite has a chance to proc critical damage over time damage on your opponent. Mazurus and delivers an attack with potency 190 and can be only executed with target's HP is below 20. Whenever your target is below that threshold, spam the ability off of cooldown for extra damage. Bloodletter delivers an attack with potency 130, shares a recast time with the Rain of Death, a Bard ability you will get eventually later in the future. This ability can be spammed off of cooldown whenever you maintain Straight Shot buff. Repelling Shot jumps back 10 yalms from the current position, cannot be executed while bound. This ability used to do some damage but has been changed and altered so that it just gets you out of the way from AoE effects or abilities. So whenever you're close to an enemy and about to do a cleave or about to do a line attack or large circle AoE, you can use Repelling Shot to jump away from your enemy directly. You have to make sure that you're at least within 5-yard range of your opponent in order for it to be useful. You'll find limited uses for repelling shot because for the most part you'll be staying really far away from the opponents. Quick Knock delivers an attack with potency of 110 to all enemies that come before you. This ability is the primary AoE ability you'll be using as an archer, but you have to understand that it takes up a lot of TP. It's going to leave you very TP starved in the future, so make sure you're very careful when using Quick Knock. Don't just be spamming it all the time. Wind Bite is another damage over time ability you'll get at level 30, which deals damage with potency of 60 and then applies a wind damage over time effect with potency of 50. Just like Venomous Bite, Wind Bite gotta be maintained the same way. And last but not least, from the Archer repertoire, we have Barrage, which triples the number of strikes for a single target weapon skill. Additional effects added only once. This only affects weapon skills. Archer exclusive weapon skills are Heavy Shot, Straight Shot, Venomous Bite, Quick Knock, Wind Bite. Bard weapon skills are Imperial Arrow, Iron Jaws, Refugian Arrow, Caustic Bite, upgrade of Venom Bite, and Storm Bite, upgrade of Wind Bite. These skills right here work with Barrage. And the detail about it, the special effects only affecting the first arrow. Let's say hypothetically any of these abilities have an initial crit. The Barrage only copies over the crit once, and the rest is applied as normal without any crit modifiers or any specific modifiers. I'm gonna let Morning Tham take care of explaining about songs. I'm currently actually having an internet outage and I cannot read off of the abilities at the moment, so unfortunately I can't exactly have them spot on. But this morning I explained it exactly perfectly, it's just I sounded really sick. So first of all, I apologize for sounding really sick. Nevertheless, let's have the Morning Sickly Tham explain about the songs. Bard has 3 primary songs that you'll get as you level. You get Mage's Battle at level 30, you get Army's Paean at level 40, and Wanderer's Minuet at level 52. These songs are going to be extremely important in your primary rotation. When you play a song, let's say for example Mage's Ballad, it will give you a meter. I have my meter reduced to a simple meter, but usually will give you a really fancy meter that will have the song played out and will have the numbers of seconds left to play out the song. When you apply the damage over time abilities and they proc crit, let's say for example I spam Bloodletter, it will start resetting Bloodletter, just like that. The way these songs go is as follows. It deals unexpected damage with potency of 100, increases critical hit rate of all party members within radius of 20 yalms by 2%. It lasts 30 seconds, so it provides a straight up buff for 30 seconds for your entire party, and activates repertoire, resetting Bloodletter and Rain of Death recast time if critical damage over time is dealt by Caustic Bite and Storm Bite. Army's Paean instead reduces weapon skill cast time and recast time, spell cast time and recast time, and auto attack delay by 4%. To make it simpler, it's almost a pseudo haste buff. It makes it so that you auto attack faster, your global cooldown is reduced depending on how much stacks of repertoire you have. You can stack up to 4 stacks of repertoire, which means you can get yourself to be a lot faster in combat. And then Wanderer's Minuet, one of my favorite ones, and the one I feel like that provides a little bit more damage than anything else. Granted, it synergizes really well with Pitch Perfect. Allows execution of Pitch Perfect if critical damage over time is dealt by Caustic Bite or Storm Bite. Can be stacked up to 3 times. And Pitch Perfect delivers an attack with potency of 100 when repertoire stacks at 1, 240 when repertoire stacks at 2, and 420 when repertoire stacks at 3. Your key objective at that point will be to try to get Wanderer's Minuet stacks or repertoire stacks to stack to 3, and then use Pitch Perfect for really powerful ability burst. Granted, it is very RNG heavy because you need to make sure that your damage over time arrows, such as Wind Bite and Venomous Bite, are doing critical damage over time. The dot ticks have to make sure they crit in order for you to get a proc of it. Another way to get a repertoire stacks to proc is by using Imperial Arrow, which delivers an attack with potency of 230. Weapon skill does not share recast time with any other action, so you can spam this thing off of cooldown whenever you have the ability to, whenever you have any of the songs playing. Another 2 really good job-based abilities that you'll grab as a bard is Full Requiem and Battle Voice. These abilities are one of the most strongest in my opinion, and most versatile and most needed when it comes to pushing out damage for your entire party. Full Requiem increases damage taken by nearby enemies by 3%. MP is drained while sinking. Effect is lost if target move out of healing distance and ends upon reuse. This is great when taking on a boss or taking on a huge pack of adds, and you want to make sure that your party or raid has no issue dealing with them and deals with them as quickly as possible, because this song affects all enemies within range. The 3% increased damage may be kind of weak, but it's really useful whenever you reuse it multiple times in a battle, especially when you're using together in a boss battle for Savage. Bards never have to use mana, which is why Requiem is the only ability that draws any type of mana from you. If you want to couple it with your role action of Refresh, which gradually restores own MP and MP of all nearby party members, you can actually prolong the length of Full Requiem. Let me go ahead and show it right here. Let's go ahead and activate Full Requiem, and we'll go directly into Refresh, which is the mana regeneration ability. There we go. If you observe the mana is slowly drained by Full Requiem and then slightly restored a little bit by bit by Refresh. It will allow for the mana to be continually refreshed little bit by little, and while it may not make a huge difference overall, it maybe will make it last for another second or 2 or 3, it will still be pretty useful because it prolongs the refresh of the mana. And using it in the beginning of battle, let's say like a boss battle, you can actually have refresh be up again when healers need it most. Typically, healers have a really good way of managing mana, and most healers kind of get used to playing without a bard, because sometimes you don't usually have a bard or machinist in your party line that has availability to restore mana. But if you're going to be playing as a bard, I highly recommend grabbing Refresh for the opener of Full Requiem, and so that you can restore mana for your healers. Tactician is not as important when regarding role actions because it restores TP, and for the most part, TP expenditure in Final Fantasy XIV is not a crucial issue. Most players, when taking on a single target enemy, don't ever have to bother about TP. It's mostly when there's a lot of AoE cleaves happening or some sort of large groups of adds need to be taken down together, where people have to spam TP very often. That is the most important time to use Tactician, because also as yourself as Bard, you'll be using Tactician to restore your own TP as well as Invigorate in order to deal a lot of AoE damage against a pack of adds. But otherwise, Tactician is mostly grabbed in order to have the enmity in your opener. Now, Battle Voice increases direct hit rate of all party members by 15%, last 20 seconds, can only be executed while singing Mage's Ballad, Army's Paean, or Wanderer's Minuet. So whenever you have a song playing, let's say for example we'll play Army's Paean, only then you will see that Battle Voice is activated. Using it will make sure that everybody in the party will have direct hit rate. This does not affect you, unfortunately. So this is a good way to help out your party, but this ability does not affect your direct hit rate. This is just something to remember whenever you're popping it, that this is for your party members. This is not for you. Because Square decided, hey, bards don't need it, because bards should just be a very selfless job. And yeah, apparently direct hit rate is not even allowed for us to have. No fun allowed for bards. As you level bards throughout your adventure, you'll also learn abilities, really good party and raid-wide abilities that I highly recommend keeping in mind. We got the Warden's Paean, which removes one select detrimental effect from a target party member or pet. If the target is not enfeebled, a barrier is created nullifying the target's next detrimental effect suffered. Let's say, for example, I know there's going to be a mechanic from this striking dummy that will paralyze me or paralyze my party member. I can throw up Warden's Paean, and it puts up a 30-second barrier on me. That next detrimental effect that can be SNU'd or cleansed off will not be applied on me. Let's say I get a poison, this will negate the poison. Let's say I get a stun that can be SNU'd, this will negate a stun. Let's say I get a paralyze, this will negate a paralyze. You also get an ability called Troubadour, which adds an additional effect to the song currently being sung. If you're playing Mage's Ballad, it increases maximum HP by 15%. If you're playing Army's Paean, it reduces physical vulnerability by 10%. If you're playing Wanderer's Minuet, it reduces magical vulnerability for 10%. Depends on what the fight requires. This is a really good tool. Let's say I'm fighting Shinryu Extreme and Akmorn is coming out. If I am playing Warden's Minuet and I turn on Troubadour, this will protect the tanks and the rest of the party members from magic damage. It reduces the amount of magical damage taken, which is going to be really crucial. And last but not least, you also have Nature's Min or Nature's Mini. People tell me it's pronounced different ways, I just pronounce it as Nature's Min. Increases HP recovery via healing magic for a party member or self by 20%. Paladin and tanks will have Convalescence, which increases own HP recovery via healing magic by 20%. And that is what Bard is able to provide for a party member, which is really crucial. It is a convalescence-like ability that you can put on any party member. A damage healer, put a Nature's Min on them. A tank that just got rest, put a Nature's Min on them. You can do a lot of different synergy regarding Nature's Min, and just learning when to use it on which party member is the most important part. And with all that said, this is a very easy job to learn, but hard to master. As you reach level 70, you want to learn about the opener, you want to play a little bit more and learn how to synergize with the rest of your party members, figure out timing, when to pop refresh, when to pop tactician, when to pop certain cooldowns, and that will come through practice, don't worry. If you want to learn about the opener, I will link to that in below. Still prevalent in patch 4.15 and probably patch 4.18 whenever that comes out, or patch 4.2 whenever that is out. I don't see a lot of changes being happening to Bard in the future. If there are, however, changes, I'll make guides according to that. This is as basic and sort of kind of advanced together. It's really hard to talk about the basics without talking about really crucial things that you'll learn about in the future. If you're still leveling Bard or Archer, then don't worry about it. Some of the abilities you will get as you level. For now, just focus on just understanding what you're doing as Archer or Bard. Afterwards, you'll get all the abilities, it will all start to make sense and become very coherent. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button, I would really appreciate that. If you want to see more videos from me, want to see my streams and catch me live stream, I stream almost every single day except Monday and Wednesday over on this main channel. On Monday and Wednesday I stream on the second channel. And if you could, I'm actually gonna start asking y'all to please, if you could, hit the bell button to get notified whenever a new video is up. With the YouTube change in algorithm and with Spider-Man and Elsa videos going haywire and just going rampant on YouTube, YouTube has been kind of under a lot of flack with changes to the algorithm and trying to hose down the dumpster fire that is turning into this platform. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later.